Yo, guys. So, look at the draw. We got a hold of Rick. He is not asleep. We made a dumb call.
And he's not asleep anymore.
And whatever the hell happened, we got Rick and we're good. So, with that being said, I'm Dan. This is Alex. This is ThoughtCast, episode 4. Today's topic of the episode is going to be, how has discipline played a role in guiding your musical compass? This is something that Alex and I go back and forth on constantly. It's a really, really interesting discussion that, you know, honestly could go on forever. But
yeah, essentially.
What is your take, man? How has discipline played a role for you in guiding your musical compass?
Well, metronomes were kind of like the golden arch. Right. So I was always able to, mostly just because of my classical background, I was always practicing the metronome anyways.
Mm-hmm.
At the age of 5, people give you things and you just assume, okay, this is mine now, and so you just use it, right?
Right.
And so that was probably like my preface into discipline, was the use of a metronome. It happened very early, and I didn't really recognize the importance until later.
Rhythmic accountability is friggin' massive.
Exactly.
You can't lie with that shit.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you're off time, then you're just literally off time.
Yeah. So true. So true.
But I think maybe in like a psychoanalysis of myself, it would be that the metronome usage at such a young age, just like not the metronome itself, but the concept of always having this like mandated kind of guide gave me a sense of just like, I need to do it right, or I need to figure out when I'm going to do it again.
Right. It forces you to constantly evolve every time you do it. Totally.
Exactly.
Totally.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, like, the compass itself, I know, goes in way too many directions.
Yeah, sometimes it's someone's holding a magnet in my compass and fucking up the north, and I'm kind of dealing with it my own way. But at the end of it all, you know, my story was pretty simple. Like, discipline was a really huge part for my kind of musical growth in the beginning. Everything was, you know, a matter of putting as many hours a day as I could, sometimes 8, sometimes more. I was always filming my practice routines just so I could kind of like, you know, if an NFL team watches the game together, you know, on a Monday after their Sunday game to kind of study up how they could do it better, why shouldn't we as musicians, right? I know Kiss did the same thing for performance, right?
Yeah.
They studied their performance videos and made themselves as good as they could be. So I would, you know, at the end of me spending, you know, hours getting something down, I would film it and actually be real as fuck with myself the next day, develop my kind of game plan for how I wanted to tackle that. I have, you know, piles and piles of notes that I would take on just discoveries that I had of my, you know, practice routines.
That's sick. I mean, that's more in depth than I think most people do.
I was extreme, dude. I would say it was neurotic to a certain degree, but it drove me to a breaking point to where I use none of that shit now. I help my students with that. I take them kind of through a similar thing, but I myself currently follow my, how can I say this? Wherever I'm kind of drawn to at the moment is what I want to focus on, and it's typically writing, it's typically creating, it's typically just manifesting something that I hear in my mind, and oftentimes I find that I've put in the groundwork, or the framework, so to speak, to not need to be like, all right, I need to do 8 hours a day so I can get this idea out of my head out on paper. Yeah. So after putting the time in, so to speak, it's made it so that I don't feel the need to be as neurotic about it, I guess.
Yeah, I totally relate. Like on the 10, 12 hour practicing, like you and I both did that, and I did it without missing a day for probably 7 or 8 years.
Insane, right?
There were points where I'd have to even skip school to make sure that I could do that. And and
education first,
right? The sign behind us. And for those who can't read the back of that sign, it says "Education, the next best thing to a record deal,"
or so they say.
Something my father got me when I went to Berkeley.
Irony. Seek it.
And then that came afterwards.
Yes.
But so like the 10-hour discipline, you know, enforcing myself to play constantly without missing a beat, without missing a note, and just kind of that mindset. There does come a point, I think, in at least my career, where it just doesn't work anymore. Like you no longer need to have like kind of a sense between like the end product itself and the development of the product. Right. So like perfect technique versus kind of maintenance of that technique. But I think like the discipline changed, like you said.
It totally has,
so
right?
it became a situation where discipline became dedication.
And it's led by desire, right?
Yeah.
It's led by something that's tickling you in that fucking moment.
That's a big one.
Right? You know what I mean?
Discipline to dedication.
That's a deep thing, but it becomes they're synonymous with each other, right? Like that discipline is going to lead you towards discovering why the fuck you're doing it in the first place, and it's going to make it so it's not a question. You know, like I would almost be willing to say that you put discipline in place so you don't ask yourself the question why you're doing it. It's a matter of like, just fucking do it, right?
Yeah.
So like, after a while, dedication is the choice of like, I'm doing this because. Discipline is like making yourself do a chore almost, and just knowing that, you know, the outcome is there's no more piles of garbage in the trash.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting kind of thinking in retrospect the phrase of like, you know, how do you get good at an instrument? Discipline and dedication. What I think it should be is discipline to dedication.
That's such an interesting twist.
Right?
On the oldest fucking thing.
It's like...
Yeah, that's awesome.
It took me 22 years to realize that.
Yeah. It's a good amount of time. Yeah, it's a really, really, you know, profound discussion. Like, as you can see, Alex and I can go on forever. Whether there's this fucking camera here or not, we'd be doing this. But
we'll still talk about it after this is
we
over.
We will. But we have none other than Rick Graham available. He's alive. He's with us. He's on air right now. As far as I know, Rick Graham is the cleanest, most inspiring player that I've ever stumbled on. Rick's ability to pull out any technique and make it look like he's thinking about what he's having for dinner whenever he's doing this shit is mind-blowing to me. It makes me kind of shit my pants a little. Justin from Zenith Passage wants to know, how can I be sick as fuck, dudes?
Why don't you tell us when you join us on the live stream?
Yeah, bro. Let's get it going.
While Rick waits to come back into the world, I'm going to go ahead and... Justin, get your ass over here.
Let's do it. Justin McKinney from the Zenith Passage.
What's up, dude?
J-Money.
What's up? Hold on, let me turn you up.
Dude, I guess we lost Rick Graham due to the hilariousness that is technology.
Dude, I can't...
Rick is back.
Oh, Rick!
Is he here?
I guess...
He might be here.
Oh, man.
Oh, take me out of here. Let Rick do his thing.
Oh, wait, hold on. We love you all, though. Fuck. That's so funny.
All right, get the fuck out of here, man.
Justin, let's have you on like super soon, man. This month or next month.
Yeah, let's do it, dude.
Okay, dude. Let's definitely get you on as soon as we can, dude.
Yeah. Let Graham come in. Later, dude.
Cheers, bye.
Love you, dude. Rick. Technology, please work for us today.
All of you who are watching, thank you so much for your patience. This is one of the more interesting problems we've had. We have not had a guest pull off yet, but working with 6 hours of time zones,
it makes a little bit of sense.
Things get pretty weird.
It does. All right. Well, while that's happening, hopefully it works. Basically, for anyone tuning in who has no idea what this is ThoughtCast. I'm Dan Sugarman. Alex Campbell right now is behind the camera trying to handle getting Rick in here. But he and I host ThoughtCast every Friday. It's going to be moving around just to actually work with our artists that we're kind of dealing with. But we host a live music philosophy masterclass right here on Instagram. And it's free for those of you who tune into the live. But if you want to actually capture that and watch it past, the 24 hours that it's up on our feed, you can become a member at EverFret.com/ThoughtCast. And from there, you'll be able to watch the video at any time. You'll get episode notes. You'll get access to our forum. You get blogs. Our community is fantastic. Just surrounding yourself with like-minded musicians who are hungry is such a positively reinforcing thing that, personally for me, that alone makes it worth it. I love seeing the support that we're getting from our community currently. It's been fucking fantastic. But go ahead and everfret.com/ThoughtCast. Check it out. We would love to have you guys look at this. We had Trey Xavier on so far. We've had Steven Rudeschauser from Chelsea Grin. And last week we had James Norbert Ivani, fantastic solo artist from Australia. And today, our plan was to have Mr. Rick Graham on. But again, what we do here is we host a live music talk show, basically. Alex and I, behind the camera, we take on a topic, we take on a guest artist, dive into that topic with them, as well as some specific questions to them. We sometimes toss in some fan questions from you guys specifically to our artists, and then we dive into what is called the VIQ, the very important questions, which comes from our members specifically. And we make sure to give pretty solid amount of time to those questions. You know, at the end of the day, live streams are done in a way that's pretty fast-paced.
Yeah, I mean, we only have an hour that Instagram allows us, and so we have to cram in our definition of the topic of the day, our artist's definition of the topic of the day, plus things that you guys want to know outside of that. And then we're at that point given either our correspondent like Trey Xavier, or we have to jump right into just closing things. So that being said, you know, within an hour we get through everything the best we can. And it's very similar to our topic. I'm going to go check and see if Rick has said anything. I can't tell. In this time, we're going to go ahead and do the best we can and answer some of our dicks. So, Dennis Curley from actually pretty close by here asks, how do you get out of a place of feeling stuck in your skill level, or how do you avoid that place altogether?
Really interesting question. This is kind of comes back to something we kind of touched on last week, but the easiest way to look at this is, as far as I can tell with my own, you know, my own personal experience, when I get stuck in something and feel like kind of like I've hit a plateau and I don't really want to get moving, it's basically because I'm stuck kind of comparing myself to other people. I feel like you get a little bit consumed in things that don't really matter rather than your own growth. And the thing that I like to do, which helps me get through this and avoid that place altogether, is literally just compare myself to who I was yesterday. In the sense that yesterday, I probably am not as good as I am today. In the smallest degree, it is so fucking real and so helpful to really recognize that comparing yourself to other people doesn't do shit except make you feel either falsely good about yourself, which is really just surface and doesn't really do anything for wanting to get better, or it makes you feel like shit. Sometimes you can get inspired, like specifically Rick Graham is a human being that has inspired me more than any other guitar player.
I think for most of us, yeah.
Yeah, and like, you know, there's definitely those guys out there that seeing someone who's just like awe-inspiring. When, you know what it is? When someone's on that tier that's just so above and beyond where you are, that's a thing where it's like, it's healthy inspiration, right? Well, then how do you get out of that place feeling stuck or avoid that place altogether?
I stopped using the internet.
Yeah, it's right. Similar answer. It's a matter of not being judgmental of bullshit, right? It's a matter of being real with yourself.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes down to actually recognizing where your inspirations come from. Because you'll pick, like, say, Jimi Hendrix, but what was Jimi Hendrix influenced by? Right?
Influences of your influences.
Exactly. And so for me, it comes to a lot of, like, other instruments, like piano, balalaika, sitar, and especially Samtors, you know, any kind of, like, hammered dulcimer. My ear likes to go towards those things, Middle Eastern music most of all. And so if I ever start feeling stuck, you know, besides technique, but like stuck musically as a composer, which is a technique.
Right, of course.
Then I listen to things that will inspire me. You know, the things that created who I am.
Right.
Those things are now, because whenever we're working on an album, we're very much focused on the music that is similar to the album you're writing. Right? And so sometimes it takes things that are so many worlds apart to find out where you're supposed to be.
It's so true. And having just a little bit of like a kind of just like shaking your situation a little bit and just reminding yourself of why you are the way you are, you know?
Exactly.
Just listening to what kind of made your musical DNA the way it is really, really helpful for reigniting that.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree, dude.
Yeah, so Rick says it's okay. So we have an option here, essentially, to either restart the stream or not.
If we lose any of you guys because of this, we really do apologize. Technology is not, you know, controlled or owned by either one of us, sadly. The internet, Instagram, Mr. Zuckerberg himself, clearly coming down on us hard right now. So we're going to have to just go ahead and call it a loss, reconnect with Rick Graham, hopefully, and If you guys really do enjoy this, please connect with us right now. We'll be live in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Not even.
So, Rick, hang tight. We're going to go ahead and do this. Everybody, in about 30 seconds, just come join us. We're going to save this portion of the stream for you guys, and this will be just part of the episode that you'll be able to watch afterwards if you've missed any of it.
Right, and that's for members only, right? So go to everfret.com/ThoughtCast, become a member, grab a week pass, month pass, year pass. The savings go up the higher you get up and how long you're going to stick around. The shit we're doing is really, really fun and exciting, and we can't wait to have you guys on. Let's get as deep as we can into this shit. Let's go ahead and get Rick on. We'll see you guys in the next stream. So sorry, love you.
See you all in a minute. Rick Graham. All right, view.
Please, interwebs.
Don't let us down a sixth time.
Please, Steve Jobs, Mr. Zuckerberg.
All right, Rick, we've got
Rick.
God damn, can I just say, Mark Zuckerberg needs a punch in the fucking face.
Right in the dick, man. Right in the digital dick.
in the Zuck.
I'm not a violent individual. I abhor violence generally. But I feel relatively violent right now.
Bro, what are you doing up, man? Did you actually stay up for this?
I couldn't sleep, man. I couldn't sleep. Because I'm thinking about guitar all the time, so I'm just like, I wake up in the middle of the night just thinking about chords and scales and harmony and everything else. No, I'm lying. You guys kept me up.
Well, I mean, it's part of the task of being a guest on the show, I suppose.
Sorry about that, man. The sacrifices that we asked you to make. That's fucked up.
No, it's to be honest, man. I'm really happy to be doing this.
Good.
So
Thank you so
it's
much,
great.
man. Like we are so appreciative to have you on, and we know how busy and hectic your schedule is, dude. So it means a lot to have you here.
Yeah.
Oh, no worry.
So
No worries. Great to be here.
Like diving the fuck into this, because the meat of the episode today is basically about discipline and how it's kind of affected us musically. So I want to ask you, dude, how has discipline played a role in guiding your musical compass?
Been essential.
Yeah.
Absolutely essential. And I had discipline right from when I first started, actually. Because I realised that if I wanted to be at my best in terms of being a guitar player, I had to discipline myself, and I had to continue to practice whether I felt like absolute shit or whether I felt like not practicing at all.
Right.
To the times when I feel really happy for practicing, because it's up and down, this kind of thing. Sometimes I don't want to practice. I just, but back then I wanted to practice all the time. So I guess I was kind of lucky with that. And I love a challenge.
Right.
I love a challenge, and playing the guitar it's been the biggest challenge of my entire life, to be honest.
Truly.
Especially classical guitar, which you've got skills with.
Yes.
That was probably the biggest challenge of my life. I don't want to just talk about it like as a challenge, because it's an expression of who I am as a person, but one of the hardest things for me was just sitting with a wooden instrument with 6 strings on it with nothing else, and playing live, man. Playing classical guitar live is the most difficult thing in the world.
Oh, man. No distortion to hide behind, just fucking you and
Nothing
strings.
and it's not just that. It's like, when you're in a band scenario, you have other band members that you can rely on, and you can, you share the whole experience. Mm-hmm. But when you've got, a wooden box with no effects or anything, no other people to ask for support, it's goddamn. It's like it's so difficult, and it's a real challenge. So that's why I did it. It's like, I had to do that because it just I had to put myself in a position where I just thought, I'm scared of doing it, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I did went and studied classical guitar and did lots of recitals, and the majority of them worked out. I had some pretty nasty moments where my mind would I would forget where I was in the middle of the piece, you know. And you've got an audience of people,
Yeah.
you know, and you're just like, but you know, this happens to everybody. It happens to every single player. You know, I've seen players that have done that. You know, major, big name players that have done that, and we're only human at the end of the day.
And classical guitar was second for you after electric?
Because electric's not hard enough.
Yeah. I'm just...
Well, the reason why is that the reason why I did it, I kind of got into jazz a bit and started to play jazz type stuff, and then I got into. It was actually a friend of mine that brought an old beat up classical guitar. It had a hole in it actually in the back, and he was just like, "Do you want this?" And he basically showed me some classical guitar music because he was sick of me just shredding all the time. So he came round and played me some John Williams, and I won't forget that, man, because I was like, what is going on? What is going? Because you know, I was used to just playing, you know, monophonic lines, single note lines, and then I heard this entire piece where you've got a bass line, chords, melody, and I heard it. I was like, I don't know what that is, but I have to be able to do it. So that's what I did, and I ended up going to music school to do it, and it completely changed everything for me, you know. And that's where, you know, you're talking about discipline. That is where I learned to really, you know, focus when I practice. So the classical guitar side of it has been hugely important in my development as an electric player. Because prior to that, I was disciplined, but not necessarily disciplined, but I was practicing because I loved it so much.
And that's the absolute best place to be, isn't it? Of course. I mean, I remember seeing John Williams in concert when I was maybe 14, and
That's awesome.
It was a 3-hour show in a very small church. And, you know, not being the experienced person I am now, I might have heard it differently, but back then as a 14-year-old, it was an absolutely flawless performance. And it scared the shit out of me, because I was like, that's the level that I have to get to where I can play a show and not miss a note. So I totally understand the magic that is John Williams. Not the Star Wars John Williams, the like best possible classical guitarist John Williams.
Absolutely.
Him and Julian Bream rewrote everything that is music.
Julian Bream is one of my favourite of all time.
He tried to date my grandmother.
That's fucking awesome.
My father was going to school at Dartington in Devon, and my grandmother was working in the cafeteria, and Julian Bream would play recitals there a lot, like same with John Williams and Ravi Shankar.
Damn.
And there's like these summer programs that Dartington used to do, and he fell a bit in love with my grandmother, and she had to ultimately slap him across the face and tell him to piss off.
Perfect. Perfect. I don't care how good you are. Fuck
He
off.
was a total womanizer.
Oh my God, that's the side of Julian Bream that I didn't know about.
It's perfect.
Besides that, my grandmother, I wish I didn't know about, but
Oh my God.
Fuck. Well, dude, that makes sense that your classical guitar background's kind of like, it seems like to bleed back and forth between what you do on electric and what you do on classical. It's really, really awesome like whenever I stumble on your Instagram page, I'm always blown away, dude. Like, and believe it or not, I'm pulled there a couple times a day, so forgive me for that. But like,
it's great. I think it's, you know, I'm constantly blown away by that kind of thing, because it's just brilliant. And this is, you know, it's why I put out videos in the end.
beautiful.
You know, I put out videos because I want to inspire other people to pick up the guitar and play. So, you know, whoever it is, you know, if you're getting something from the vids that I do, man, that's the best thing in the world. Best thing in the world.
It's working, man. It's working.
Yeah.
And absolutely, dude, it's real. And like one of the biggest things I notice in your playing is like the effortlessness.
Seriously.
It's mind blowing, right? So like my question is like, is this always natural for you, or is it something that you spent time developing? And like, how did you develop that? If it was something that you developed?
It's a struggle for me. It's a struggle.
Wow. I would never have guessed that.
Yeah, the whole thing is a struggle. You know, playing guitar is what I have done is because I spent years just like blasting through stuff and really not having control over what I was playing.
Right.
And when I got into classical guitar, you know, to bring that back in, I started to realise the importance of controlling my entire body.
Yes.
You know, when I was playing. So, and that means everything, every aspect of it, breathing properly, you know, and just allowing my whole environment to work naturally and comfortably. Because one thing I realised is that whenever I played anything, especially challenging stuff,
right,
I would just go,
yes, the lockup, tension.
Yeah, there'd be something in there that just wasn't allowing myself to flow properly. And over the past few years, it's been I've been thinking about it for many years, but I haven't been able to. I've been working on it for many years, and it's only recently started to come together. You know, over the past few years, you know, and what I do now with my practice is I sit down and I just breathe. It's almost like a form of meditation, to be honest. I breathe and sit with the guitar, play some stuff, and just remind myself, don't go back to that tense way of playing, and that allows everything to flow more. So I've been doing it for a while, and it seems to work. It seems to work for me.
It's really in you saying this, it's making me it's reminding me of a question that I've often asked myself, but I'd love to ask you and get your kind of insight on this. Do you feel like it's a mental limitation or a physical limitation when you hit those walls?
Both. Absolutely. The mental limitation, I mean, that is probably the most difficult thing to overcome.
Yeah. I was wondering if you were going to feel that way. Yes.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The mental limitation, because it's not just about your playing. It's like you look around, you can become a product of your environment if you see the right things, and if you look at everything in a specific way. If you see, loads of guitar players on the internet that are doing really, really well, they look, you see it from your perception, and you just think, why are they so good and I'm so shit? And that is, nobody's exempt from that. Everybody is in the same boat. Everybody. Doesn't matter who you're talking about. Every single person will look at another player and go, God, grass is greener on the other side there. But it's not the reality of it. It's not the reality of it, and you have to remind yourself of this as well, that when you understand that everybody is in the same boat, it makes life a lot easier, and the good thing about this is that you are unique as an individual, as a player. So maybe some of the things that you can't do may lead you to more positive things,
right?
And I realise that, and that's hard. That when you, especially mentally, because I beat myself up a lot about my playing. I'm just like, God damn, if I play the same lick again, I'm going to punch myself. It never has come to that, thank God. But we all do these kind of things. I have to live with my playing 24/7. And there's loads of things that I want to do. I just want to, be fresh with my playing, and sometimes it doesn't happen. And this is where the mental thing comes in. It's such a huge part of being a musician. The mental process of it. But talking about the physical stuff, we all have strengths and weaknesses, and the way that we're physically made up can have a big impact on that.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be a negative thing. Doesn't have to be a negative thing at all. Like I said, take your weaknesses, take your limitations, and allow them to show you a different route.
It's beautiful.
It's certainly the more natural route, right?
Oh, truly.
Like, as opposed to trying to fight through something that just gives you way too much trouble, and you can just accept.
Absolutely, man. It's not worth, because I've experienced this for quite some time. Trying specific techniques that and I've done it for years and years, and I just know that, goddamn, this is not going to work for me. Maybe there's some kind of physical limitation or something going on that doesn't allow me to do it. Right. So sometimes you have to accept that and not try and brute force things constantly so that you're desperate to do that. Accept, your limitations, and then when you realise, I can't do that, but hang on, maybe if I do it this way, that's fine. So, and there's a lot of that that's reflected in life too, because we all, of course, we all have limitations, whatever they are. And, this is where learning an instrument or, just learning music can teach you so much in life,
Absolutely, man.
It's directly proportional.
It's crazy. The amount of humility that I'm hearing right now is just it's fucking me up, dude. Someone in your position, someone who I hold up here is feeling like there are people that high above him too. You know what I mean? It's whenever you get a level up, you realize there's just another fucking step and another step. And
dude, the first thing that I would say, man, is everybody's human.
Right. Everybody's human.
And I'm human. You guys are human. So there's no difference.
What?
I think there is. What people do is they put people on a pedestal and look up to people and go, God damn, this guy is so, or this woman is so wonderful, and we're all the same. We're all just trying to express ourselves through the guitar. That's what we're trying to do. And when you realise that, you realise there's the world's your oyster when it comes to being a musician and just learning about life and music. Nobody's up there for me. Nobody, because we're all the same.
That's powerful as fuck. That in and of itself is the nugget of the century right there.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Sick, man. And what I don't want to do is I don't want people to look at me and go, God damn, that is unattainable. That's ridiculous. Because I'm still struggling with my playing, man. Still struggling with it. I pick it up sometimes. I'm just like, oh, God damn.
Yeah.
God damn.
It's so, it's so inspiring, to see that you put up videos of you practicing. It's not here's this thing that I've done and it's perfect. You put up videos of you running through licks. And I think that's so cool.
Yeah. I want to do that more, to be honest. I want to do that more because for a while and this is the nature of my practice and how it's kind of connected to doing YouTube videos and Instagram stuff. What I'll do is I'll pick up the guitar, sit and play around, slam on a drum beat or something and just practice. And then I'll stumble across a lick or a line that just, that guides me. I don't do it. It just seems to happen, by itself. So I'll kind of investigate it, and then I started to do the, licks and prepare them as videos. So once I've got a lick, it'd be like, God damn, yeah, okay, I'll record the video. The problem with that is that every single time anybody watched a video of me, it would be a perfect lick. A perfect lick. Mm-hmm. What they don't see is all the leading up to that lick, all the practice it takes to do it.
Yes,
and that you said that. That's perfect. That literally is perfect. I mean, people get these ideas of who we are and what we do, without realizing that like I wear pajamas until 2:00 in the afternoon,
Right.
and, and things like that. It's like, I mean, it's that humanism of everything, and I think it's honestly beautiful that you do demonstrate the getting there versus I'm here.
It's awesome, dude.
I think that's more important right now because, man, I don't like to be. I generally don't like to be negative towards other people, but when I see some stuff on Instagram and the prevalent thing these days is to put up the polished stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about guitar stuff. I'm talking about image related stuff.
Yeah.
Super filtered.
And it's pretty demanding for other people, when they watch this stuff and they're like, God damn, my life is boring and shit. Whereas I look at somebody else and they're flying around the world doing all sorts of stuff when that's not the reality of it.
Yeah. Everyone's just portraying the best version of themselves.
Yes.
That's right. And that's why I think it's really important to post some stuff where, it's just a snapshot of me practicing. And if I mess up, that's great. Because that's part of it.
Right. And what's more inspiring than that kind of humanism?
Right. Like Xerxes can bleed.
I know, it's like, oh, I can get there. If Rick Graham is screwing up, then, my screw-ups will just mean that I'll be closer to his screw-up and then I'll be there.
Well, if it helps people, to improve and just gives them, less of this sort of polished version of who I am. And let me tell you, I'm, no polishing can help me. I think it's really important to share that because what I don't want people to do is look at what I do and go, Jesus, I'll never be able to do that, and then put the guitar down or I don't want people to do that. I want people to see what my normal playing is like,
right?
And how I approach practice, and that I think that's a really healthy thing to share that with people. So I'm going to do a lot more videos of me just practicing and just letting it go. I did one yesterday, I think. Was it yesterday? Where on Instagram, and I just what I was doing was controlling relaxation and
saw that.
Awesome, and that's what I want to do a lot more of because it's really important to me, to share that. So yeah,
it's really interesting the amount of somewhat emphasis you place on that naturalization of who we are as people, which leads into us who we are as musicians. And
yeah.
I know for myself how depressing all of that can actually be. What people think of you to what you think of them and how you're portrayed to them, even if it's false. All those things come back and impact us, oftentimes super negative, especially with the way that Instagram and Facebook are these days. You're seeing everyone's perfect life without even recognizing, as you said, that there's this whole other world beneath it. And
oh, absolutely, man. I mean, what I don't want people to do is just see, a guitar player that's just bunging out licks all the time. I'm a human being, I'm a human being with a very sensitive human being, actually. Things affect me. A lot of things affect me,
right.
Read stuff in the news about the shit that's going on in the world. That affects me.
Yeah.
Though I'm not just a guitar player that plays licks. And, sometimes it's hard to balance it because, especially on Instagram, sometimes I want to post stuff that really matters to me. Like, if you go back on some of my posts, I post stuff, about, animal posts. And because that's something that is, close to my heart. And not just that, but other stuff. And it's really hard to balance how to put yourself out there, and it's difficult. But, as long as, people get that there's much more to guitar playing, there's much more to life than just guitar playing.
Right.
It's important that you experience that, or otherwise your guitar playing isn't as good as it could be.
Yeah.
in a sense. So like the experiences, I think, are what define us as musicians. It's not our necessarily practice with music.
Oh, you're
It's
absolutely
life.
right. You're absolutely right, man. That's what it comes back to. And I didn't realize this when I first started, you know. I picked up the guitar and I thought I was the coolest thing in the world because it was just like, hey, man, I can play some Metallica riffs. I can, you know, and it was just wonderful. And then over time, I just thought, hang on a minute. You know, I've got to take this a bit deeper.
Right.
And then over time, I realized as I got better, as I improved, I realized, hang on, I've got to, this is now, you know, something that's really important to me. So basically, I've got to a point now where it's the guitar is life to me. You know, all of my experiences that I've had, ups and downs, and the past few years have been really difficult. But I've got to be able to, you know, learn from what I've experienced in life and express it through this thing right here.
Yeah. That's
I'm lucky that I've got that ability because not everybody has an outlet, you know, for the feelings that they have, you know.
so
And
yeah.
we're all really lucky. And I think the more that you can do that, you know, whenever something shitty happens or whenever something really wonderful happens, turn it into music.
Yes.
That's the way, man. That's the way.
What it is.
Because in life, there are ups and downs, you know, and a lot of the time you can't control those things when they happen. But what you can do is pick up a guitar and just channel it through that, and it's the best thing in the bloody world.
You know, on the note of channeling those types of feelings and things, it feels like you've been quite active with both the physical and the mental kind of health problems in the past with, you know, with people around you and, you know, other situations like that. So I'm going to assume that it does permeate through your music, you know, any type of expression, happiness, all of your life.
Yeah. It's music allows me to be myself, you know, because, you know, like I said before, I'm a very sensitive individual, and I don't mind saying it, you know. You know, sometimes in an environment where there are lots of people, I just don't feel comfortable, you know. I'm quite, you know, despite some of the videos that I've put out, I'm quite an introverted individual. And music allows me to just forget about that.
Yes.
You know, playing guitar allows me to forget about that. And that is also, I think, why I've arrived at where I am right now as a guitar player, is that because you know, general day-to-day things in life I struggle with, I can just turn to my guitar and go,
Dude, what you're communicating speaks to so many people because those struggles are like things that so many of us deal with privately. I'm actually, like, that's, holy shit, I just gave myself goosebumps just really recognizing a reason why I kind of feel so, I feel like we're fucking great buddies, even though you and I have spoken, you know, a handful of times, right? I feel like you and I have had conversations because of me listening to your music. Do you understand what I'm saying? Oh, did we lose Rick Graham? No. I think Zuckerberg finally tuned into the live stream and was like, "Oh, shut it down again."
Wow. Well, that is the longest stream we've ever done with an artist. That was, you know, like 35 minutes.
I could talk to Rick forever.
Yeah.
I have so many more questions to ask him. And like, Rick, I don't know if you can hear me or not, but I think it's safe to say that musicians deal with some shit. We, as a community, are some depressed fucking people who have our own ways of coping with things, and we've been drawn to the instrument for a certain reason. I think there's certain people on the instrument that we're drawn to because what they've specifically gone through resonates with us. there is something in your playing that I resonate with. I feel like what you play is communicating something that you've been through that I can't even explain it. I relate to it, right? So I think it's fucking beautiful, man. What you've done, what you've been able to accomplish, what you've gone through, it comes through your music, dude. And it's so fucking inspiring, and we're so happy to have been able to have you on our fucking show, dude. For anyone who's watching us right now, this is ThoughtCast. This is our weekly live music philosophy masterclass that we do weekly live on Instagram. We have a topic of the day that Alex and I discuss. We dive in with guest artists. We've had Trey Xavier from Gear Gods, Steven from Chelsea Grin, James Norbert Ivani from Australia, fantastic solo artist, and now the master himself, Rick Graham. What we do is we basically host these live streams. They exist on our Instagram for the 24 hours, and then we go ahead and we upload and make a private YouTube video for our ThoughtCast members. And from there, you could watch the stream at any time. We have notes that are available for you to download, which will basically serve as your ThoughtCast music philosophy handbook. We have giveaways, forums, blogs. What else is going on in there? Tons of shit.
We have our entire community where people just like you want to talk with you. And we have our artists come into those forums and also communicate. Like James has been quite active within our Facebook group.
It's been fantastic.
We've got people on our website. It's really, really cool seeing everybody come together and keep these conversations going. Right. Because all of these questions and all of these answers are safe. And you can always go back and listen again and get other ideas just by signing up.
Right. And surround yourself with positive, like-minded people and get better at your fucking instrument while not playing. We're here to help you understand the insight, the mind behind musicians.
The why behind the how.
Right, and we're not even going to be focusing specifically on guitar players for those of you who are curious. But more importantly, we're looking into discovering the whys, the way that we got there. How did this person make that happen? That's what we want to discover so that you guys can walk away with new insight and inspiration to make it happen on your own. And we want to give you the most unadulterated, most uncensored, raw version of what it is, which is why you see Alex and I here in our studio, sipping beer, hanging out, talking, fucking up, being happy that Instagram is hilariously shitty.
And getting totally freaked out when we realize something that we've never thought of before. And then we get to have those moments.
It's a profound moment that happens on air because this is literally a live show that we want to completely, candidly just, whip out dicks on air just because.
Yeah.
Best way to say it. It's artistic.
Exactly.
Why not?
Artistry. And also Rick says thank you guys. Rick, thank you.
Oh,
thank you so much for staying up until nearly 4 o'clock in the morning.
Goddamn, Rick.
Just to come on our show. We love you, man. Thank you so much. And thank you for putting up with my Julian Bream story.
If there's ever a reason or a way that you'd want to do this again, Rick, we'd actually love to. I think a part 2 is completely necessary. We actually got through half of the questions that we had just because everything you said sparked something else interesting. With that being said, though, dude, fucking thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
We're so appreciative to have you on air. And for all your people who tuned in, once again, thank you guys. Go to thoughtcast.com/EverFret. I said that backwards. EverFret.com/ThoughtCast. Thank you, brain. EverFret.com/ThoughtCast and check out what we're doing. Grab a member pass and get all the perks that we're offering. Otherwise, just follow us here and tune in every time we do a live stream. We do it every week with a new artist.
Yes. So, guys, it is much later than we normally do these things, so we're going to go ahead and call it here. Again, Rick, thank you. And all of you people, there were so many new people this week that it was just crazy. It was really cool getting to see so many people commenting, so many people interacting.
It's been amazing.
And, Rick's people, our people, whoever. Thank you, guys. We're going to keep doing these every single week. Join us on our website, everfret.com/ThoughtCast.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram right now.
And next week we have Gretchen Men from Zepparella and just an overall badass on the guitar. She'll be joining us next Friday at 8 p.m.
And her brain is fucking overflowing.
She is the definition of Zen guitar.
Yeah, I want to siphon off some of that brain juice.
Yeah.
She's got a lot of that shit for grabs. So I hope you guys come through and siphon that with us because there's a lot going on. Other than that, though, we're going to go ahead and call this. This has been ThoughtCast episode 4. Rick Graham, you've been fucking fantastic. We had Justin McKinney on from the Zenith Passage for a moment, which was hilariously awesome. We're definitely going to actually have him on for a full episode in the future. That's been in talks for a while. Actually, the only reason it worked today is because this was so late, which has been the issue. But once again, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you next week with Gretchen Men.